Hello there, I'm Michelle B, and I've made a string of romantic readings for you. It's a pick a scenario kind of thing where you choose from 3 cards. You resonate with the images, or if you already know about tarot, you're resonating with the scenario that's in the card, and then we'll go from there, taking a look at what the trajectory is ahead and any guidance that you might need to have for those scenarios. So this is mostly for the feminines, and speaking about their interactions with the masculine are always welcome to tune in and enjoy it, but I just want to let you know who who I'm like sending my thoughts and descriptions to. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Hello there, Virgo. Let's go ahead and get started and find your 3 cards to choose from. So you're going to look at these images and see which resonates with you the best. Some of you, like I said, might already be familiar with the tarot, and so you're like, oh, I know that one's me right there. But otherwise, you can just look at the images and see like, oh, that feels right to me about what's going on in my romantic life. That's the 8 of Swords. The Page of Swords. Ooh, lots of mental energy. You know, Mercury's in retrograde, or going into retrograde officially tomorrow, but by the time you see this, there's a 6 of Swords. So lots of like confusion when it comes to the thought and the thought realm. But go ahead and take a really good, like a good look and feel into which of these scenarios. That's a 6 of Swords, if I didn't say it out loud already. Which of these scenarios feels the most like you? Okay. Coffee is so good. So I'm going to go ahead and read these in order. Card number 1, 2, and 3. You can skip ahead to the scenario that you felt you resonated most with, or you can just watch all of them and see if there's something for you to learn in each of them. So the 8 of Swords I see as like the internal glass ceiling, like where you feel like you are held back, where you feel like you're being tied down, being prevented from doing the things that you really want to do. I feel like I always listen to the intuitive guidance when I'm speaking of specific situations. In this case, it's somebody who feels like they're being bound in a relationship and they don't know how to get out of it. Okay. So like, what do I do? I like, you love somebody, you love them and you want the best for them, but you don't know how to tell them that things that just aren't really, in spite of how much effort they might be putting into trying to make it work, it's just, you're like, it's just not really working. So let's look at the trajectory of this going forward. See if we have any volunteers just flipping out. Oh yeah, you're not talking. Temperance is here about healing, about using what you've learned, using the pain and what you've learned from the situation that you've been in to heal. So that there is like a healing phase. Does this mean that the relationship is going to keep going? Not necessarily. It's really about coming to terms, coming to peaceful terms with what happened between the 2 of you. Knowing that there's just, like, you just can't go any further with this, and now it's time to heal from it. Like the conflict that you were in, it's going to end, and you're moving into a peaceful phase, even if it's not with the person that you're with. Okay, so let's get a couple pieces of guidance for Virgo going forward, and it also sometimes can give me a little bit of information about what's going on with the other person. There you are in your element. Queen of Pentacles, Virgo. There you are in your element with like offering, I see you offering like tangible love for the person. Yeah, I see this going on. I see you looking at the person that you love, right? You're looking at them and being like, hey, like I want to be at peace. I want to love this situation that we have been in, and I just want to feel at peace about it, but I also need to be free. I need to be free to to love, to feel a deep connection. And you're looking at this other person, and they're like, you're like offering this cup of love to them, and they're just being like, I'm just going to be pissed and hurt. Okay, so that's going to happen no matter what. And so what I feel needs to happen is that you just have to come to a place of peace within yourself, without necessarily being like, I'm not saying that you've done something that you need to be forgiven for. What I'm saying is that you need to forgive yourself anyway, because like sometimes we can get so tangled up with feeling guilty about somebody feeling bad, even if we've not even done anything to them. Like we've just said, hey, this is the way it's got to be, and they're like, wah, and you're like, I'm sorry, it just has to be this way, and I have to be at peace with myself anyway. Okay, so what you're being tied up by here is feeling like, I just don't want this person to be unhappy. But the truth is that you can't control whether they're happy or not. Being in the situation, they're not totally happy. Being without the situation, they're not going to be happy. They're just not going to be happy no matter what. So why should you tie yourself to it? Instead, you can be free to love, to have a great connection with somebody else. So yeah, you're being responsible. The guidance is be responsible about any shared resources that you two have. But, don't just walk away from it and be like, screw you, I'm just leaving this situation. Do what you can, but be reasonable about it. You're not a martyr, okay? This is also a martyr card. Don't be a martyr about this. You've been a martyr long enough by tying yourself up when you know it's not going to work, okay? Moving on over here to this Page of Pentacles is an archetypal personality of the of the tarot. It's typically Gemini energy, but it could be any of the air signs. But I'm really strongly feeling Mercury retrograde in this card. The communication is weird. There's something that's grating on your nerves. Something's bugging you, and you want to say something about it, but you can't get totally clear on how to articulate it in a non-aggressive, defiant way. In all of our communication, we need to always strive for respect and grace and dignity for ourselves and for the other person that we have something to say something to. So how do we become clear? Let's look at the trajectory going forward from the vibration that we're in at this moment. Ooh, the Tower. So this is a scenario that once again, just like this last scenario, it's something that you really need to get out of. This is like an overarching energy of a scenario that Virgo needs to get out of, or they're like breaking out of. I feel like if you don't find a way to communicate gracefully what you need to say, that like if you can continue stalling out in that situation that you're in, the universe is going to step in and change everything for you anyway, and it might be in a way that looks like a disaster to you. So which would you prefer? Whenever I have the Tower coming up in the future, I say, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to have a little bit of a smooth transition, or would you prefer a rocky one? Let's go ahead and set ourselves up for a smoother transition instead of a challenging, difficult one. If we drag our feet for too long, we might end up in a situation where all of our stuff is out on the curb. And that sucks, right? So what do you need to do to smooth out the transition of something that's not looking so great? Let's look at the guidance that we have. I definitely want to take this one, Ace of Cups. Oh, that's a very loving, a new love kind of card. Affection, just like offering love, speaking from a place of love. That's good. You might be able to clear things up. I'm really feeling like what that Tower card is saying is that if you come too aggressively to communicate what you need, you may not be able to get the proper feedback from the person that you're frustrated with. This could be a committed partner or somebody that you're just dating. They've done something that grates your nerves, right? And I feel like you might be jumping to some conclusions, lashing out, saying things in ways that you don't mean for it to come across, and it has a destructive effect on your connection, right? So there's that. So the intention of the person that you're connecting with might not be as bad as you think. So I'm doing a reversal of what I was saying before. Whatever I did say before, if that resonated with you, go with it. If it did not, go with this. All right. So there's love there. I don't think that the person that said things that frustrated you had malintent. They meant well. It was a misunderstanding. Okay. And that there is some collaboration, some communication that needs to happen, but it's really all about speaking, as I said, in a calm, collected manner, and just ask some really basic questions. This is what I saw happen. This is the way that I understood. This is what I understood from the situation, and I'm wondering what's going on with that. Can you please tell me what's going on? They probably will give you an answer that you'll be like, oh, and it will totally just diffuse the situation. Phew! God, wipe the sweat off my brow with that one. Whatever you needed to get out of that scenario, there you go. All right, Six of Swords for the third card. This is the energy of leaving a stormy situation, but being carried by the universe, by source, by God, by your guardian angels to something that's a little bit more peaceful and a little bit more stable for you. There is a sense of shame for you where you're frustrated with yourself for being like naive or like having expectations that weren't realistic. There might be a child involved somehow, but anyway, it's really about moving on. You've already made the decision to move on, and you're being transitioned into something better. Okay, so let's get a look at the trajectory for Virgo in this scenario, near or long term. There's another Three of Pentacles, just like we had in that one. I think Virgos are having some convergent experiences. Anyway, so this is about collaboration. I feel like this is about this is for Virgos that are needing to have some space to be single, to work on themselves, to work on, I mean, not just themselves, but to work on their creative projects, for working on their money, their economic prosperity. This is a time for Virgo to rebuild, essentially, for rebuilding themselves, for preparing for later, for being independent, or for being in a relationship at a later date. But the near future, I think, is all about healing and rebuilding and collaborating with people. The download that I got real quick was connecting with people that you couldn't connect with during the time that you were in that stormy space from before. Let's get a couple of little pieces of guidance real quick. This is about releasing the Strength card in reverse. It's like, remember to forgive yourself. Don't think that you should be so freaking perfect all the time. Yep. Don't be so harsh on yourself for what happened before, okay? That shame is something that's really screwing with you. It's really bugging you. Like, how could I have been so stupid? Kind of energy. And the cards are like, hey, how could you have ever learned anything if you didn't give it a chance, if you didn't let yourself be vulnerable? You learn things from it, and there's no shame in learning lessons. Absolutely not. So forgive yourself, comfort yourself. This lady in the Strength card is comforting that lion and saying, hey, you don't have to be perfect all the time. You get to make mistakes just like everybody else. But Virgos tend to hold themselves to a standard that is above and beyond anybody else's realistic standards, and it's not fair. It's not fair what Virgos do to themselves, okay? So your healing is contingent on like cutting through the bullshit that's in your own head about what happened from before. You'll be able to move on and be happy when you release the shame and guilt about what happened before. Part of it might be telling people about it and hearing that you're not the only person that experienced what you experienced, okay? Love it. Okay, Virgo, I'm going to close out from here, but I want to let you know that if you're interested in some monthly readings, I have them already posted for February, so go ahead and subscribe. Go over to my channel. On the playlists, you'll find February 2021 readings. You'll see what's going on for you in your month ahead. Love you, Virgo, and I'll see you later.